Any disaster can traumatize a family, but often the bigger disaster is when they try to replace what was lost. For a quick settlement, insurance adjusters require detailed records of what you owned. Most people may have photographs of their home, but very few details of what was inside. Today, we're going to teach you how to photograph your home so that your insurance company has all the information it needs. And you'll learn how to store that information so that if your home is destroyed, the information won't be. Be prepared by cataloging your home. Next on The Whole Picture. Welcome to The Whole Picture. I'm Erin Manning. You know, losing your valuables to fire, theft, or natural disaster can be devastating. And what's even worse is not being able to account for all your items so you can replace them. That's why insurance companies want you to create a home inventory. And that way you can record all your valuables before anything terrible happens. Now, with a digital camera, it's really easy to quickly and accurately document all of your valuables. And then with a computer, you can create an inventory with all sorts of details like serial numbers, etc., and then store that information in a safe place. The goal is to make it as easy as possible for the insurance adjuster. Now, when you take those pictures, just make sure they're really accurate and detailed. Let's take a look at some of the pictures I took of things in my home. The first picture I took was of my red chair. Now, it's a large item, so it's a good idea to take pictures of large items in the context of your home. That way you get an idea of scale. Here's a picture of one of my cameras, and I took the picture from different angles to give you a better idea of what it really looks like, and also one of the identifying marks. Now, I have a student, Carrie, and she's been trying to catalog things in her home also and document them for insurance. She emailed me one of her photographs, and it looks like she's having some problems here. First of all, it's blurry, and I can't really see much of the detail of what I'm guessing is a bowl. But that's okay, because today I'm going to teach Carrie how to take the right kind of pictures for her home inventory. First, I'm going to have my friend Mike, who's an insurance agent, meet me over at Carrie's house, and he'll give us all the specifics that an insurance agency needs to know when you're filing a claim. Next, I'm going to show you how to take the big picture or the best overview photograph of all your valuables within a room. Then we'll get into the small picture, and I'll show you how to get the best detailed photographs of things like identifying marks on your valuables and serial numbers. Finally, we'll come back here to the studio, and using a computer, I'll show you how to create a home inventory, manage your files, and then store everything on a CD for safekeeping. Now, if you don't have a computer, don't worry. As long as you have a digital camera, you can go ahead and take the photograph, and those photographs are stored on a media card. Now, a media card is just like film to a film camera. Now, your media card might look a little bit different, but they all do the same thing. You take the picture's stored on this media card. Now, you take the media card and store it in a really safe place, preferably off the premises. Now, I'm going to head over to Carrie's house, and in the meantime, go ahead and take a look at some of the other good examples of home inventory photographs that I shot. After an emergency, hindsight isn't necessarily 20/20. Up next, I'll show you how you can have instant recall so the insurance adjuster can quickly handle your claim. And you'll learn how to get the details you need to make the best out of a bad situation. Welcome back to The Whole Picture. Recovering from a disaster at your home can be devastating. That's why I'm on my way over to my student Carrie's home to teach her how to catalog her house using her digital camera, just in case anything ever happens. I know about the photography aspect, but to help with the insurance part of the process, my friend Mike, an insurance agent, is meeting us over there. Hey, Mike, nice to see you.
Good to see you again, Erin.
Glad you two had a chance to meet, and I hope you weren't waiting too long.
Not long at all.
Okay, well, let's get started. Now, Mike, as the insurance specialist, please tell us what we need to know to document everything to make sure you all have the right information in case Carrie needs to get something replaced or restored.
Two critical things are, first, taking a panoramic view of the room itself. That way we have an idea that gives a person an idea of what they have in the room at the time of a loss. The second is take a particular picture of that particular item. For example, the electronic items, or your higher priced items, or your antiques. And that is critical in helping the adjuster to come to a fair value for the claim.
Okay, well that's good. So we want to go around and take a picture of the entire room to start with, and then zero in on each item,
Absolutely.
right? Now, I've heard people say that if you place a card in front of the item, say, and write the serial number on it, that's helpful?
Absolutely. That helps the adjuster go back when they take the information, they take it back to their computer, and they put that serial number into the computer itself, and it gives back the actual cost to replace that particular item. So it helps tremendously.
Oh, that's great. And say you may not even have to have the receipt if you can't find it, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that helps, I'm sure.
Yes, it does.
Right? Okay, so maybe you could scan that in too if you happen to have it.
Yes, ma'am.
And if there's no serial number, you do a marking off the back or at the bottom or something?
Exactly, a good idea, because each item has a particular markings they have on them, especially your older antique items, and that's critical.
Okay, good. Well, maybe you could show us around and point things out for us to make sure we're documenting them just right.
I'll be glad to.
Okay.
Before you get out your digital camera, go around your home and make a mental inventory of the items that have both the biggest cash and sentimental value to you. These are the items you want to be sure to have documented, because after a crisis, it's almost impossible to remember everything that was in your home. When planning your home inventory, keep in mind what Mike said would help the insurance adjuster settle your claim as quickly as possible. First, plan to take an overall view of the room so that you'll have a good idea of what was in the room before the loss. Second, take individual pictures of your important items. And to help minimize questions about the items, take pictures from multiple angles. And don't forget to look in the drawers. Finally, take a picture of any identifying mark, like a serial number, watermark, or specific detail on each piece. Remember, the more time you take today to record as much detail as possible, the less time it will take you to settle your claim later.
Carrie, let's start photographing in the living room.
Okay.
Okay? Mike, thanks so much for all your help today. It was wonderful.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I'm gonna get out of here.
Okay.
Okay, Carrie, the first thing Mike told us to do was to photograph the entire room. There's an easy way to do this with video. Now, most digital cameras have a video or movie mode, and looking on your camera, it looks like you do. We'll just set the mode dial here to video.
Okay.
It's really easy. Just position the camera, hit the shutter, and slowly pan the room, just like that.
That's all?
That's it.
And then how do you stop it?
Just hit the shutter again, and
I
the movie
can do
ends.
that.
Yes, you can. Okay. There's a good side about this. You can slowly pan the room and include everything in, but the downside is sometimes that movie is too big for your media card if you want to put a lot of movies on it, say of all the rooms in your home. So here's an alternative. Go ahead and set it back to camera mode, and we'll take digital still shots of the entire room, standing in the same place and just moving slowly and taking a picture all the way around the room. Just make sure you overlap each picture about, say, 10 to 20% so you don't miss anything.
Start by taking a picture that will give you an overview of the room. The best way to do this is to build a series of overlapping photographs of the entire room. Stand in one place and rotate around the room, snapping pictures that overlap by about 10 to 20%. It's better to overlap too much here than too little. Next, photograph the individual items that are valuable or sentimental to you. Be sure to take pictures of these items from many angles so the insurance company will have an easier time identifying and putting replacement value on them. Take pictures with the drawers open or the lid lifted, using your zoom lens to push in and get close, filling the frame. Take the time to compose your shots, isolating the items so that they're not lost in the clutter. Don't be afraid to turn the camera sideways or at an angle. And remember, details are very important. After disaster, you don't want to have to rely on your memory. For more information on how to take a panorama of your room or other types of pictures to catalog your home, log on to our website at DIYnetwork.com. Now that Carrie sees the big picture, it's time to identify the next step. Coming up, I'll teach you how to use the macro function and get down to the details. Welcome back to The Whole Picture. Being prepared before a disaster can help you to quickly get back on the road to recovery. By properly photographing your possessions in advance, you can help your insurance company settle your claim as soon as possible.
Welcome back to The Whole Picture. I'm Erin Manning. Today I'm teaching Carrie how to photograph all of her valuables and document them for insurance purposes. Carrie, you feel like you're getting the hang of it?
I do.
Good. Now the last thing Mike told us to do was to make sure and photograph your items and get up close, photograph the features or marks on them that might distinguish them. Okay, so if we were to photograph, say, furniture, we could get in close just by using the zoom lens on your camera. And that way we could photograph any distinguishing marks that way. But let's say you want to photograph the serial number on something. We would turn your camera to macro mode, and that's noted back here just by the little flower icon. And that allows us to get really close to that item and make sure it's crisp and clear. Now, one thing you want to be careful of when you're photographing in macro mode is your light. So what I like to do is when I'm photographing especially small items is find one place in the house and light that place. For instance, this table. I would bring house lights around it, lamps and things, maybe put some fabric over it, and then bring all the items to the table and photograph them there.
Capturing the details can mean the difference between getting an estimated settlement or getting the replacement value. When photographing smaller items, I like to set up a small area with a neutral background and shoot them all in one place. Set up a lamp to add extra light to your shooting area. You want to avoid using the flash because the flash can reflect off of shiny items, making it hard to see the details. Use the zoom lens to fill the frame. You should also shoot small items from different angles. Don't forget to turn the items over and photograph any of the special markings. Put the camera into macro mode and get as close as you can. Macro mode usually is indicated by the flower icon. On your electronic items, the detail you want to capture is the serial number. Again, use your zoom lens to fill the frame so the serial number can be easily identified. The insurance adjuster will be able to punch that serial number into a database and know the correct replacement value. On items where the serial number is not easy to photograph, write the number on a pink card and place it next to the item. The pink card will not affect the exposure on your camera as much, so you're more likely to get an accurate photograph. Remember, the more details you give your insurance company, the quicker the settlement.
Okay, I'm going to head back to the studio. Do you feel like you have it covered here?
I think so.
Okay. Just remember all the techniques you learned today.
Right.
And as you're photographing all the furniture and valuables, make it easy on yourself. Do the wide shot, a medium shot, and then the macro shot all in one fell swoop.
Okay.
Okay? Now when we get back to the studio tomorrow, we're going to download all the pictures, organize them, and archive them, so in case anything ever does happen, you're covered.
And you'll teach me how to do that?
I'll teach you how to do all that.
Great.
Now that Carrie has snapped up her home inventory, how does she keep it safe? Up next, we'll teach you how to use your computer to compile all the details for your home inventory. Recovering from the losses in a fire, theft, or other disaster can be the most traumatic part of the catastrophe. Without proof of what you owned, it could take your insurance company months or years to settle your claim. By using your digital camera to build a detailed home inventory, the settlement time could be dropped down to just weeks. But once you've taken the pictures, how can you protect them from the disaster itself?
Welcome back. We're joined by John Spagnolo. Now, John is with the Insurance Information Institute, and he's helped design this great software that you can use to create your own home inventory. Now, here's a really good thing about it is it's free.
That's right.
That's a good thing. But before we get into that, we need to start with a little file management. Now, Carrie, you took some great pictures after I left yesterday, right?
I did. I tried.
Okay, well, good. I went ahead and transferred all those pictures from your camera onto the computer. So what I did is I transferred all the images into a folder I created for you called Carrie's Inventory.
Okay.
Now, what I like to do is whenever I'm creating these folders, we'll start with the inventory folder for your entire home, and then we'll create a separate folder for each room.
Okay.
Now, to start with, just click on the folder that says Carrie's Inventory, and we'll see that you have lots of images in there. I went ahead and created a folder already called Den, and I pulled some images into there, but let's create another folder and call it Living Room.
Okay.
So just click right up here on this little wheel, and you'll get a drop-down menu. Just come down to New Folder. Great. And let's call it Living Room.
Okay.
And just go ahead and type that in.
Okay.
Now, when we click through all of these images, That's great. Go ahead and start clicking like right here. When we start clicking through all of these images in the preview, you can see what they are, and if they belong in the living room, just do a click and drag them into the living room folder.
It does. Okay.
It's really easy. And then you can see over here on the right pane that they're actually in that folder. This is a great way to keep everything organized, so you always know what was in what room. So once we do this in every room in your home and drag all the images into the right folders, that's where John's fabulous software program comes into play. Now, John, what's it actually called?
It's called Know Your Stuff.
Know Your Stuff. I like that. Why don't you go ahead and show us some stuff so we can learn how it works?
Okay, you start the software by clicking on the icon. Okay. And, okay, to start your new inventory, you simply click on New, and you name it. We'll call this inventory Carrie's Inventory. And what we want to do is we want to make sure we save it where you stored your pictures in the folder on your desktop called Carrie's Inventory. So we'll click on Browse, and we are already in Carrie's Inventory, so that's good. So we'll close it and click on Next. Now this is a wizard just to set up your inventory, so let's type in your name, and let's put it in address, say 123 Main Street. And we click on Next. Now what we do is you would put in the name of your insurance company here, and then you would put in your policy number, and you'd click on Next again, and here is a spot where you can put in all your important financial information, where if there was a disaster in your home, this would be information that you would need if your home was destroyed. Say a policy number for your life insurance and things like that. So what we'll do is we'll click on Next, and now here is where you would start adding rooms to your inventory. If you want, you can click on Add right there. And you can start with the den. Okay, that's great. And then we'll move along and finish. Now your home inventory is set up. Now you'll notice that you see the name of your inventory at the top of the screen, and you'll see your room right here. And if you add more rooms, they will all appear down this left-hand column. And you have not added any items yet. So let's try adding an item. There's the plus item button right at the top. Now, here's where we're going to add an item. Let's start with adding a picture. So click on the Add button right below Item Picture. And let's go through and see what picture you want to use first.
Okay.
And then click on the Open. Okay, now let's add the item name.
Okay.
Okay, now here is where we would add in all the specific information for the item, such as the cost of the item and the date purchased.
Oh, that's great. I see you have a place for the receipt. So would you just scan that?
Yes, and you would upload it just like you uploaded the other image.
Okay, great.
To finish this item, just click on Finish. And now you will see that the item has been put into that room.
There it is.
That's great. So, Carrie, what you would do is do this throughout every room in your home and get every item documented just like this. Thank you, John. That was great.
Thank you.
So, Carrie, let's pretend that we already did this with everything, and I'll show you how to save it and then burn it on a CD.
All right.
Okay? Just come up here to File and do a Save.
Okay.
All right, now just do File, Quit. You always want to save it before you quit to make sure you have all your information.
All right.
So now once we've quit, you'll come over here on the desktop and just drag the folder that says Carrie's Inventory onto the CD I already loaded into the computer. All right, now just double click on the CD. Okay, you can see the folders in there. Now all you need to do is just click this little button up at the right that says Burn, and that's going to burn the CD. Now this will put all the information from the folder onto the CD, and we can store it in a safe place. If you'd like to know more about building your own home inventory, just log on to our website at DIYnetwork.com. Okay, Carrie, I think the CD is finished. Let's go ahead and just hit the eject button.
Okay.
And I'll give you a pen so you can label it, so you can identify it for later. John, thank you so much for coming in and helping us, and especially showing us this great software program.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We had a great time. Carrie, you did a good job.
Thank you very much.
I hope you'll take what you learned and create your own home inventory. Join me next time on The Whole Picture. Let's look at the box.